Good evening, everyone. This is Jane Lambert from A New Dawn Training. I hope I find you all well. This evening, I'd like to speak to you about, obviously, the situation that we're finding ourselves in. Hi, Karen. And I'd like to discuss with you the fact that none of us, myself included, are feeling 100% all of the time. Now that is impossible, and actually we can put such high pressure on ourselves to do that. I have just been talking in a ladies group that I run once a month, and we've been thinking about ways that we have been handling the situation. And one of the things that I've spoke to them about tonight is the warning signs for the mental and physical, as well as the emotional exhaustion that we can find ourselves in because of COVID. We are all very good at looking at the way that we handle our daily situation, and we put undue pressure on ourselves to be perfect. We think that we shouldn't get upset about the situations we find ourselves in. We think that we shouldn't let things get on top of us because we can't go where we want to. We can't see the people that we want. We're missing friends and family and the hugs that maybe some of us are getting. And one of the things that we picked up on is that we are easily irritated during these times. Now, we are very good at thinking that we should be handling things. And when we're not, it affects our bodies in many different ways. One of the things that affects us is that we will register that our thoughts become very crooked. And that's why I'd like to speak to you tonight about crooked thinking. Hi, Danielle. Crooked thinking is something that we all do. There are 7 forms of crooked thinking. The first one is all or nothing. We are either eating everything in the cupboards or we're eating nothing. And hi, Michelle, thank you for joining us. We find that with all or nothing thinking, we either have to be perfect or everything is absolutely rubbish. There's no in between, there's no grey area. Or we find ourselves catastrophizing. I'm going to be stuck in this house forever. Can you hear the drama behind that? Have you found yourself there? It could be that you find yourself fortune telling. And that is when we think, oh, I know what's going to happen. Well, unless you suddenly become psychic, no, you don't know what's going to happen. Just like the rest of us, we can only guess. It could be that you're mind reading. You're mind reading people that you share your house with. You're mind reading people that you speak to online. It could be already that you have registered that when you're online with friends, some of them are irritating you. That's social anxiety for all of us. It affects everybody in the same way. And you don't know what that other person is thinking. It could be that you find yourself globalizing. That's not always a term that people know and understand, but what it means is that when we are globalizing, we say, well, everybody's feeling like that. And actually, no, they're not. I'm not saying that everybody feels like it, but you may be feeling like everybody feels like it. One of the things that a lot of people are doing at the moment is labeling either themselves or others. If they're labeling themselves, as one of my clients said earlier, her husband said, I should be coping with this This is stupid getting upset over this. He called himself stupid. There's nothing stupid about the situation that we're finding ourselves in. Hi, Jim. The situation we find ourselves in has never happened before. And to label ourselves or others stupid because we aren't actually coping with things the way that we think we should, there's nothing stupid about that. We are coping in the best way we can at the time. Hi, Claire. And then we've got rigid thinking. That's the 7th way that we all do this crooked thinking. And with rigid thinking, we think there is no other way of thinking. I have to do that. Actually, cut yourself some slack because you don't. So I want you to think about the last few weeks, and maybe that your perception of our situation has altered a little bit. We're 5-6 weeks in now. Some people will be finding it easier than others. For other people, they're already fed up. They just want to go back to work. And that's not easy for everybody. I'm very lucky I can still do some of my work, but actually I can't give any massages at the moment, and my Reiki clients, although they know they can have Reiki in this form, would prefer to see me. So actually that's not as easy. So I'm doing what I can with the tools that I have in the situation I found myself. And I want you to think about how our situation is affecting your thoughts, feelings and behaviour, because they are all interlinked. I know if you've seen any of my previous sessions, we've talked about this. A negative thought leads to negative feelings, leads to a negative behaviour. But flip that, and positive thoughts lead to positive feelings. It's not always easy to flip it just like that. It's a tool, and it's one that we need to learn to use. But what I want you to think about is we have to learn to challenge ourselves, and we need to learn to criticise ourselves less. It's very easy to think I'm eating too much, I'm drinking too much, I don't look as good as I did. But actually, instead of criticising, maybe it's about supporting ourselves and supporting other people in the best way that we can. We are needing to punish people less and to bring in more discipline. Just been speaking to a client who has found that for her partner and her children, it's been quite difficult because the children are different ages and some of the routine has gone in the house. And all she's done is call herself up on that. And that's not always a positive thing to do. So one of the things that we have to do is start and change the way that we think. And since we're spending so much time with our partners and our children if they're small and still at home, and maybe in some cases with your parents or your in-laws if they're living with you, we have to learn to live in what's called the comfort zone. And the comfort zone is the place that we find ourselves in where, if you like, it's the place where we go to because it served us in the past. We felt quite comfortable there. And what it does is start to make us register certain things. I'm going to read a little phrase for you from Henry David Thoreau. What lies before us and what lies behind us are but small matter compared to what lies within us. And when we bring what is within out into the world, miracles happen. So, how are you handling your home? Is it clean and tidy? Are you feeling under pressure to keep it so? Or actually are you not too bothered at the moment? You're nobody's coming, there's only us, so actually it doesn't matter so much. It's irresponsible to think that nobody is going to be affected by how we handle ourselves. And the problem is, during our quiet moments, whether it be if we're waking up in the middle of the night, our mind starts to run away with us. And that's when we get these negative thoughts. Hi, Angie. These quiet moments actually are when we start to feel maybe a little bit lonely. We all have to find ourselves. We need to feel a sense of security. And actually, if the only security we're feeling at the moment is the fact that we can close our front door and keep the bugs out, quite literally, then that's the only security that we've got. Now, I want you to look at perhaps the last week and ask yourself, when was the last time you felt a sense of well-being? When did you feel really good? Now, I apologise in advance to anybody who lives not far from me in Chellaston, because over, I think it's 4.5 days I've spent painting in the garden. And I would say to you quite truthfully, a lot of that I have had music playing, not loud, but I sing. And that gives me a sense of well-being. I'm doing something positive, and as well as doing something positive, there's something positive coming out of my actions. Many people look back to childhood memories when we're free from responsibility for a sense of well-being. And whether it be that as a child we were allowed to run and play and skip and let the wind run through our hair, whatever it might be. Some of us perhaps remember being held, being cuddled, or being tucked into bed and assured us that the world was a safe place and it was going to be okay again tomorrow. This is the time when, although we're not tiny anymore, we can still feel like we need that reassurance. Some of us actually never got that comfort until we reached adulthood. So what was it like for you? Hi, Hilary. I want you to think of a time when you walked into hurt or danger. And it might even feel like that when you are going shopping. I've been today, and brilliant outside the shop, they had us queuing with 2 meters between us. But actually when you get in the shop, people are coming far too close, they're leaning across us. We know what it says about social distancing. We know what people are saying that we should do, but that doesn't mean that everybody's doing it. So how are you handling things at the moment when somebody comes far too close? Do you get quite anxious about it? Or do you do like I did today and said, "Excuse me, can you please step further away?" I make no apology. My health, my self-care is more important than whether or not that man took offence. Look after yourself. You are your best advocate. There are signals that you will feel, and it could be that they begin to register with you, but actually you're poo-pooing them. Many people at this time are beginning to feel quite panicky. And that anxiety is manifesting itself in very different ways with people. For some, it's been about their tummy's been quite upset, whether it be a form of indigestion, or it could be that they are just snapping at people, they're more irritable. Please cut yourself some slack. You are handling things in the best way that you can. Does it feel like you're doing that? Don't be afraid to apologise. Tell your nearest and dearest, I'm just having a bad day today. I don't feel too good. It's a bit of a low day today. It's okay to do that. It's okay for you to apologise. Say things sincerely to people. And when you've managed to do that, ask yourself if you feel comforted through the way that you're starting to think. When you are panicking, how are you handling that panic? One of the things that I bring in with my clients is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you feel anxiety starting to rise in your body, what are 5 things that you can see? What are 4 things that you can touch? 3 things that you can hear? 2 things that you can smell, and something you can taste. That 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 touches all 5 of your senses. And by the time you've thought of 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, that anxiety will be starting to calm itself. Forgive yourself. Release that emotion when you are tense. If you suppress an emotion, you're not going to ever feel any better. So forgive it, release it, let it go. Think about whether or not you're learning something from what we're actually going through. It's people we're missing. That social connection with family and with friends. The chance to be able to have a family dinner for me is massive. And I miss my son. And it could be something as simple as, okay, getting to meet our friends for a drink. This is all down to the lack of control that we are feeling at the moment. Hi, Jill. This lack of control manifests itself in stress. We get scared, and then fear controls our lives. And when we feel frightened, what do we tend to do? Everybody's heard of that fight or flight. Do we stay and we fight it, or do we run? And unfortunately, at the minute, we can't run very far. So we've got to stay and deal with the emotions. And the emotions that we're actually dealing with at the moment are high anxiety. So the very first thing I'm saying to people, and I will keep repeating it, is do not watch too much television or listen to the news excessively. When we feel that figures are starting to rise, our anxiety can rise with them. My clients have heard me say today, we know how many people they're saying have died of COVID, but we don't know how many have gone home, fully recovered. We don't know how many have had it at home and not been tested, and they've come out and they're all okay again now. Keep in contact with your family and with friends, whether it be texting, whether it be online, on Messenger, on FaceTime, whichever of these things that you use, I want you to keep in contact with them. Just being able to see somebody speak like this and to share a giggle is going to make you feel better. Give yourself extra time to do the normal run-of-the-mill things that happen in the house. If you don't feel like doing every room today, don't do it. Allow longer for your own daily stress release, whatever it might be, whether it be some cooking, some baking, going for a walk. If you feel when you've been out for an hour, actually, I could manage another half an hour. As long as you're doing the social distancing, do that. What are you doing for self-care? I've got clients whose self-care for them is just having a bath. For me, it's about doing some crocheting, spending time with Mick and the dogs, and making sure that my kids and my friends are okay. I want you to focus on your mental health this week. Be aware of whether or not you feel like you're coping or not. If you're not, contact me. You'll get me through Sam's website. You'll get me through Inspire Fitness Academy. You'll get me through a New Dawn training. You'll find me, and I'll help you in any way that I can. And stay busy. That doesn't mean you have to spend 10 hours in the garden. It means that you can read, listen to music, play games with the kids, watch a film together. Do the things that you enjoy. Maybe if you are finding it difficult to relax, now is the time to learn a new relaxation technique. If you've got little ones, reassure them that they are safe. I shared something with my clients today, and one of my clients has got a 4-year-old, and when we talked about the coronavirus, she said, I don't really know what to say to him about it. And I said, well, ask him how he actually understands already himself. You might be surprised what he's picked up on the news, what he's picked up off the radio, what he's heard you and your partner say to each other. So when she spoke to him about it, she said, what do you know about why we can't go out like we normally would at the moment? And he said, oh, there's those bugs outside, aren't there? And she said, yeah, that's right, there are. And he said, they're like big red bogies and they're going to make us all poorly, aren't they? And actually, he sealed it. He got it. That child had got it to a T. He understood why we can't go out. Hi, Sue. Let your children talk about their fears to you. Get them to draw a picture and discuss that picture. When I work with little ones, that's what I do. I get them to draw what they're experiencing, and that will always get their fears out of them. Tell them what you're doing to cope and maybe let them join in. If you enjoy doing arts and crafts and that is how you are handling things, let them make things for their grandparents, for their aunties, for their friends. Another client told me that her child is finding it very difficult not going to nursery because, in his own words, does this mean I haven't got any friends anymore? And I found that so sad. We need to reassure these children. Do not let them listen to the stats. If they're scaring adults, they're going to scare children just the same. And keep their normal routine going. have a getting up time, have a bedtime. I'm not saying don't have a pajama day, but actually getting them dressed and going out and having that exercise that they're allowed. It's not just about homeschooling this. This is about taking care of your mental health in a positive way. And if the routine doesn't fit in with what is happening today, because actually everything's been a bit difficult today, it's not been a good day for anybody, that's okay. You are doing the best you can do under the restrictions of your life. Think about that lack of control and how it's affecting you. And as a child, they've got even less control. So I'd like you to spend the next few days taking good self-care, eat well, drink plenty of water, watch the amount of alcohol. I'm not saying don't have a drink, but be careful. We all know what the daily units are that are recommended, but if that isn't working for you and you find that actually you can't just have one or two, then let's go back to dry January and have a dry May. We have to learn to cope with the situation we've found ourselves in. At some point, there will be a new normal, but none of us yet know when it will be. Give yourself something to look forward to. Take control in a different way. So if you feel like you can't plan anything for this year, plan for next year. A client earlier talked about VE Day coming up, and actually in the street, they're all going to make their own food and have a party in the street on VE Day. Is a street party something that you could do in your road, in your environment? If you've visited at where I live, it would be something that we could do very easily because it's a cul-de-sac. But I would like you to spend the next few days thinking, right, what can I do to help myself? Because this lack of control isn't doing me any good. If you need my help, give me a call. I will help you in any way that I can. Take some time for yourself. Don't feel guilty if you're irritable. It's a normal reaction to the situation we're in. And take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. I'm back on again on Thursday at 12 noon. If you've got any questions about anything that I've talked about for the last couple of weeks, please give me a bell or send me a message. Take care, everyone. Bye.